All right. Let me get rid of that. And then let me share my screen here with y'all. And let's see, there we go. Share. And let's see. I believe you all should be seeing this presentation. Wonderful. Well, here we are. And yeah, the presentation that I'm going to give you all today is the 7 pillars of success. And I've been at this for a while. I mean, when I think about it, I actually started eating what I refer to as a plant-strong way of eating and living back in 1987. So about 35, 36 years ago. And it is obviously very, very near and dear to my heart. And over the course of those now 30, almost 35 years, I've written 4 books, and I've had several different careers, from being a professional triathlete, a firefighter, a healthy eating advocate for Whole Food Market stores, and now an entrepreneur for out on my own with the kind of Plant Strong ecosystem. But what I'd like to share with you today are the 7 pillars of success. And if you, depending upon how into this lifestyle you all are, I would encourage you to embrace all these pillars, 5 of these pillars, 3 of these pillars, and the degree and extent to which you follow these pillars will really help to dictate how healthy you are. So with that, I will dive into this presentation. Should be about an hour and 15 minutes. So the first book that I wrote was called The Engine 2 Diet. It came out in 2009. And my call to action was, I was asking people to try this on for size, test drive this lifestyle for 28 days. And so you can see here the subline here is the Texas firefighters 28-day save your life plan that lowers cholesterol and burns away the pounds. And I did something that many people thought was absolutely virtually impossible. And that was, I got a bunch of Texas male firefighters in the land of beef to basically go plant-based. And it took a long time. I mean, I'd worked with some of these guys since 1998. And it wasn't until 2003, so almost 6 years later, that they agreed to jump on the Engine 2 bandwagon, so to speak. And it was really because of a fellow firefighting's brother's health that was in dire straits. And I challenged him to eat the way that I was eating. And he did. And lo and behold, in just 28 days, he got the most incredible results. His total cholesterol dropped from 344 to 197 in 28 days. And he was doing nothing more than just eating fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, and kind of doing what I've been doing for a long, long time. And this became newsworthy. A bunch of Texas firefighters at Station 2 eating a bunch of plants. And then I was solicited to write a book. And so here it is, The Engine 2 Diet. Now, this came out, like I said, in February of 2009. And I was very, very fortunate in that I was on a lot of the morning shows. It became a New York Times best-selling book. And it caught the attention of this gentleman here, John Mackey, who at the time was the CEO of Whole Food Market stores. And I want you to know that John had been on his own personal journey with a vegan lifestyle starting in about 2003. He decided to go in this direction, primarily to help and be kind to animals. And then in about 2006, 2007, he and his wife decided that they really wanted to do everything they could in their power to live beyond the age of 100. And so they realized that eating a junk food, plant-based diet was not going to get them where they wanted to go. And so he read the China study that came out in 2005 by our friend, Dr. T. Colin Campbell. In 2007, he read my father's book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. And in 2009, he read this book, The Engine 2 Diet. And he reached out to me because he's like, I'm really intrigued by your book. I'd love to go out and get a bite and talk a little bit more about it. And we struck up a friendship. And after a couple months, he said, Rip, I want you to come by the office. I want to make you an offer. And he challenged me. There we go, to basically take helping people and saving lives to a whole nother level by retiring from firefighting and becoming a healthy eating ambassador for Whole Food Market stores and spreading this message of health and hope and wellness to Whole Food Market's 100,000 employee base and their millions of customers between the United States, the UK, and Canada. And I saw this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to take helping people and saving lives to a whole nother level. And so after 12 years of being a firefighter, in September of 2009, I retired from firefighting to take helping people and saving lives to a whole nother level, using the Whole Food Market bully pulpit as my megaphone to get this message out. And it was really quite an incredible opportunity that John extended and offered me, because he said, Rip, I want to do a number of things with you. One, I want you to go around and I want you to give lectures to our team members, to our customers, and I want you to travel around to all of our stores. And at the time, there were probably about 375 Whole Food Market stores. So I was on the road a lot. And then he also said, we want to take the major tenets that you have in the Engine 2 diet book, and we want to develop a food line that's a Whole Food Market exclusive brand. It only will exist in Whole Food Market stores, that follows your tenets. And we want this to be available for our customers. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And so that was called the Engine 2 PLANTSTRONG product line. And we developed that over the course of almost a decade. And at one point we had almost 48 different products throughout the store, from pizza crust kits to burritos, to burgers, to hot hamburger buns, hummuses, salsa, granolas, cereal, a lot of different products. And it was super exciting to be working on this line of food that embraced all of my tenets, that could make this lifestyle that much easier for people. So that was another thing. And then the last thing that John asked me to do was, Rip, I want you to, let me backtrack for a sec. John was so intent on creating an environment within Whole Foods that really, really valued health. And so he wanted this to permeate out throughout the Whole Food Market organization. And so he offered to take Whole Food Market's unhealthiest team members that had to medically qualify, and then on Whole Food Market's dime, they would send them off to a healthy eating immersion, these Engine 2 medical immersion programs. They were 7 days long. And we taught these team members from soup to nuts, everything about this lifestyle. And in John's infinite wisdom, he also said, I want you to do before and after biometric screenings and measure everything from do a big lipid panel. So measure total cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, blood sugar, blood pressure, and weight. And I had done all this in the Engine 2 diet. I actually had almost 70 different guinea pigs that raised their hand and said they would agree to eat this way for 28 days and also do biometric screenings to show the efficacy of eating this way and how quickly the body can transform itself. And we got incredible results in 28 days. But I can tell you, when John first presented this to me, I was like, it sounds great, but I don't think we're going to get much of a budge in just 7 days with cholesterol and LDL and weight loss and blood pressure and all these things. And I can't tell you how mistaken I was. And I'll talk about that in a sec. So you can see here, 10 years as a whole food market partner, ambassador. So I toured stores, giving presentations, doing book signings. It was incredible. And then here, over the first 5 years that I worked with Whole Food Market, we threw about an average of 2 of these 7-day immersion programs a year. And so after 5 years, we'd thrown about 10 of these, and each one we had right around 75 to 100 people. So I had over 1,500 data points, 1,500 people that went through, and I had all of their before and after information. And I can tell you, these are just more of the groups. This first group here, this was a group that we had in Austin, Texas. This was a group that we did actually on the Big Island of Hawaii. And these are some groups that we did in Black Mountain, North Carolina, that's outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Absolutely beautiful. We're actually still doing these for the public, and we actually have one coming up in about a week. It's very, very exciting. So let me share with you some of the average results that happened in just 7 days. So weight loss. Everybody loses weight. And the thing that's so incredible about weight loss is you lose weight and you're eating copious amounts of food, as much as you want, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have these buffets of plant-strong delectability for people, and they go to town and they can't believe, like they will come up to me after the 3rd day and say, Rip, there's no way I'm going to lose weight. I am eating more than I've ever eaten in my life. And I said, just you wait, just you wait. And literally, I don't think we've ever had anybody gain a pound, but we always have people lose weight. Some people lose 20 pounds, some people lose 10 pounds. The average weight loss is right around 3 pounds in 7 days. And again, the caveat here is eating as much as you want. Now, the other thing here is lowered blood pressure by 10/5. So 10 is the systolic, 5 is the diastolic. So that's a pretty nice number as far as the average drop in a very, very short period of time. I've got a window here that's blocking this, but dropped the total cholesterol on average by right around 25 milligrams per deciliter. Lowered the LDL, that's the lethal cholesterol, by 24 milligrams per deciliter. Lowered triglycerides. Triglycerides are an indication of how much fat is in your blood, and those lower on average 23 points. And then the other thing that's so exciting is that we have found that these whole plant-based foods truly are medicine, and you can't be on your meds and eating this way. And so we have medical directors that attend every one of these medical immersion programs, and they are very, very savvy at knowing exactly how to either A, titrate people off their current medications, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's metformin, insulin for diabetes. And then many times they absolutely take them off their meds completely. So I leave it in the good hands of our medical directors to know exactly how to do that. But the exciting thing is these people, almost all of them, have been told you'll be on these meds for the rest of your life. And then we have our medical directors saying, no, actually, you need to start coming off these meds because the food is that powerful. So that's really exciting. So after 5 years, I was like, wow, we're getting results that I never dreamed possible in just 7 days. And I know that anybody can do anything for 7 days. And my goal is to get as many people as possible to see the light, embrace the lifestyle so that they can take their health and their happiness to a whole nother level. And I call this the Engine 2 7-day rescue diet because it's up to you to rescue your diet. I don't want this to be on your doctor or your parents or your husband or your wife or your children. This is on you 100%. And it's up to you to rescue your diet, rescue your health. And it's so easy and it's so achievable. And so in 2017, this book came out, January of 2017. You can see it here, Eat Plants, Lose Weight, Save Your Health. And I wanted people to know that you don't have to go to a fancy immersion in Hawaii or the Red Rock Mountains of Sedona or the lush mountains of Asheville, North Carolina to get these results. You can do this in the company of your own home on your own time. And I actually, for this book, just like I did for the Engine 2 diet book, I got a group of about 70 people from North Ridgeville, Cleveland, Ohio, to go through this program, and they got the exact same, and in many cases, a little bit better results than the people that were at our retreats. So very, very exciting stuff. So let's talk about the 7 pillars. The 7 pillars to live Plant Strong. Number 1 is why we love plants. So I want you to know that we love plants because all nutrition starts and ends with plants. This is kind of the mother source of everything that is good and bountiful and plentiful in nutrition. It's plants. So this is where everything starts. It's plain and simple. Whole plant-based foods. Now, when I'm teaching people this, I have to let them know that we were raised thinking that the strong foods were the meat and the dairy and the heart-healthy oils. And we got to flip this script completely and make a nice paradigm shift, because the reality is that red meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy products, cheese, whole milk, skim milk, 2% milk, 1% milk, all these things are actually not healthy. They're not good for you. They're actually very, very much detrimental to our health. Whereas if we flip the script, what we're going to find is that it's the fruits and the vegetables and the whole grains that are actually the strong foods. And growing up, I thought that these were the kind of the weak foods, right? I mean, why do I want to eat all these foods? I was in love with everything that's in the red here. But as I told you earlier, I've been actually eating strong foods now for almost 37 years. and it has taken good care of me. So we're flipping the script. The weak foods are actually the strong foods, and what we thought were the strong foods are actually the weak foods. So I want you to know that anything that flaps a wing, wiggles a fin, paws a hoof, closes a clam, these have varying amounts of dietary cholesterol, saturated fat, and problematic animal protein. You just can't get away from it. It's there, it's inherent in all the muscle and the fat that's in animal products. So what I want to do right now is just kind of go through and let you know exactly how much cholesterol and saturated fat you're going to find in your average piece of red meat, chicken, salmon, and eggs. So red meat, on average, 70 milligrams of cholesterol per 3 ounces. 3 ounces is basically about the size of a deck of cards, 70 milligrams. And I want to make it very clear to you all that none of us need any kind of extemporaneous source of cholesterol in our diets. Our livers produce all the cholesterol that we need naturally, and so we don't need to be getting it. All right, so red meat on average is 70. A lot of us think that chicken is a much healthier source of meat and that it's less in cholesterol, less in saturated fat, especially that skinless, boneless chicken breast. But the reality is that chicken is 70 milligrams of cholesterol per 3 ounces as well. So it's the exact same amount as that red meat. And then many of us think that wild-caught salmon is God's gift to a healthy piece of flesh. And I can tell you right now that salmon is 60 milligrams of cholesterol per 3 ounces. So it's just 10 milligrams less than the red meat or the chicken. And so that's almost negligible. And then lastly, what we have is we have eggs. And we like to say that there's only 2 things wrong with the egg: the yolk and the white. And believe it or not, that egg yolk, that one egg yolk, has 212 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. That's the exact same amount as 2 Burger King Whoppers with cheese in one egg yolk. Think about that. Saturated fat. Your average piece of red meat is 40% saturated fat. When it comes to chicken's about 30% saturated fat. And we have no requirement as human beings for saturated fat. It's problematic on not a lot of levels. It actually promotes tumors and cancers. It promotes heart disease, hardening of the arteries. It also promotes insulin resistance that leads to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So we're not a fan of any of these things. And then your average piece of salmon is 20% saturated fat, and the almighty egg is 20% saturated fat. So for these reasons, you can see we're not a fan of any kind of animal flesh whatsoever. Just a weak food. Weak, problematic food. Now let's talk about dairy for a second. The thing with dairy products is dairy products have the exact same DNA as animal products, just kind of in a different form. So we'll start with liquid meat, milk. 1 8-ounce glass of milk is 150 calories, but believe it or not, it's got the exact same amount of cholesterol as 4.5 strips of bacon, and loaded with saturated fat. So we're not a fan. When it comes to ice cream, it's just fat and it's sugar. And obviously, I think we all know that ice cream is not a health promoting food. When it comes to yogurt, we refer to yogurt as runny meat. And the problem with yogurt is that it's loaded with all kinds of protein. And the vast majority of that protein that's in, for example, these Greek yogurts is coming from casein, casein, It is a growth accelerator that is put there by the mama cow to grow that baby cow as fast as possible. It represents 86% of the protein that's in dairy products. And believe it or not, it's also a tumor and cancer growth promoter. And we all have tumors and cancers in us, but our body's constantly defending it and killing these off. But what you're doing unwittingly when you're doing 3 to 4 to 5 servings of dairy products a day is you are fertilizing those dormant tumor and cancer cells with one of the most powerful growth accelerators that you could be putting into your mouth. And so for this reason, amongst many others, we are not a fan of yogurt, right? Runny meat. And then lastly, we got cheese. Cheese, we refer to cheese as basically dairy crack. It is a concentrated source of calories, of cholesterol, of saturated fat, of casein, of casomorphines that are low levels of opiates. Just to put it into perspective, 1 8-ounce glass of milk is 150 calories. One 8-ounce glass of melted cheddar cheese is 960 calories. So almost 7x the number of calories that you're going to find in a glass of milk. So no wonder so many people say, I cannot give up my cheese. I'm addicted to cheese. And again, it's because it is loaded with all these different substances that light up your brain like a Christmas tree, and you cannot get enough. Again, it's low levels of of opiates, just like morphine or something like that. All right, let's keep moving on. So cow's milk is really it's a baby calf growth fluid, which is what Dr. Michael Clapper loves to say, and it was never intended for us as human beings. So that's Tom Green, a comedian. He would do some crazy stuff back in the day like this. All right, I've got a couple different people in this presentation that I ran into when I was doing book signings at Whole Food Market stores. This is Mary, and these are just some testimonials of people that have done the Engine 2 7-day rescue diet, where they followed the 7 pillars and they got some pretty phenomenal success. So let's hear from Mary.
Okay, here with Mary, spelled Merrie, and I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And Mary, what's happened to you since you've gone whole food plant strong?
Well, you wouldn't believe it, because a year ago I was 75 pounds heavier. I was on 80 units of insulin a day. I'm down to 10 now. And the fact that I have energy, my cholesterol went a half, I just couldn't believe it. And even my doctor, when she had my physical, kept saying, what are you doing? Did you do bariatric surgery? And didn't tell me. And I said, you're my doctor. No, I'm Plant Strong. She spent an hour wanting to know why, how, what was I doing the whole program. So it's been neat for her, because she goes, I've never heard of anything like this. So it's pretty excited, very excited to continue and to see what happens.
Well, that is very exciting. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
So what I love about Mary and what she said here is that her doctor took a true interest in what she had to say and her results. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, yeah, I lost all this weight. My cholesterol came down. I saw my doctor, and my doctor just said, yep, interesting. Keep doing what you're doing. Whereas this doctor showed a genuine curiosity, and it sounds like we'll now pass this on to some of her other patients. So thank you, Mary, for that. Whoopsie. Let's see here. There we go. So our next pillar, pillar number 2, is why we really love whole plants. So what I'm talking about when I say whole plants, this plants that are as close to grown as possible, that are minimally processed, like broccoli and grapes and different types of beans and potatoes and brown rice, different fruits, and whole grain pastas and whole grain breads that are minimally processed. I think you get the point there. Now, on the flip side, what I am not a fan of here are the plant-based junk food. So you can see here, moving from left to right, obviously we got French fries there. You know, French fries are the #1 source that Americans get potatoes into their bodies. And French fries are really, they're an abomination. We take the almighty potato that in 2008 was declared the vegetable of the year by the World Health Organization, and we absolutely desecrate it. We slice it up into little sticks. We put it down into the deep fryer. It now goes from being 3% fat to over 55% fat. And then we have the unmitigated gall to basically take the salt shaker, sprinkle the salt shaker all over it, and then we dip it in high fructose corn syrup laden ketchup. That is the #1 way that Americans get potatoes, which actually is probably the most popular vegetable that Americans consume. So, and then you've got these fake fractionated plant-based products, like you've got diet cheese. It's basically 70% fat. The first and second ingredients are canola oil, and I believe it's palm oil. We've got all these vegan donuts that are everywhere right now, and it's just basically white sugar, white flour, and oil. Ice cream, these plant-based ice creams are everywhere. Ben & Jerry's I think now has 11 different flavors of plant-based ice creams, and they're using coconut as the base because it's got the cream feel. But of course, coconut is the #1 source of saturated fat, or I should say, has more saturated fat than any other food on the planet. And so this is not healthy. You've got your different types of veggie burgers, whether it's the Impossible Burger or the Beyond Meat Burger, and they're just basically Frankenstein burgers that don't have any whole food plant-based ingredients. We're talking coconut oil, we're talking canola oil, we are talking maltodextrin, pea protein extract. In the case of Impossible Burger, it's soy protein extract. These are just not health promoting plant-based products. And then of course, alcohol. You know, I think there's some pretty definitive research right now to suggest that the safest amount of alcohol is the least amount of alcohol. And way too many Americans are having 1 to 2 to 3 glasses of wine or some sort of alcohol a day. And these are just empty calories that aren't taking your health to the next level. We have all these newfangled cereals that are purporting to be healthy, when the reality is they're just a high sugar cereal that is a poser presenting to be healthy. We've got these buttery spreads like Earth Balance Spread that's 100 calories per teaspoon, and it's just palm oil and canola oil. We've got all these chips that are out there, and they're typically 50 to 60% fat. And of course, we have the glorified candy bars posing as your Luna bars and other bars. So plant-based junk food is a real problem. And these foods are more and more littering the grocery store shelves. So we got to be very, very careful about how much of these we eat. And conversely, we want to make sure we're eating more of the whole plant-based foods. And now another product that I want to talk about right now is oil. Doesn't matter whether it's canola oil, olive oil, rapeseed oil, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, walnut oil. They're all 120 calories a tablespoon, and they're all very calorie rich and processed. That's what CRAP stands for. calorie rich and processed. So just to kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about, this is 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. You can see here, 1 tablespoon is 120 calories. The calories coming from fat are 120, so it's 100% fat. You can see of the 15 grams of fat, 2 are coming from saturated fat. So that if you do the math, that's about 15% of the fat is coming from saturated fat. And you can see here under vitamins and minerals, there's nothing but a big old goose egg next to every one of these. So there isn't really a shred of any kind of vitamins or minerals here. And there's also no fiber. So this is what we call an empty calorie food. And we all know, every one of us knows that white sugar is just empty calories. Well, to put this into perspective, 1 tablespoon of white sugar is 50 calories. 1 tablespoon of any one of these oils is 120 calories. And that's almost 2.5 times the amount of calories that are in a tablespoon of white sugar. And again, you've got no water, you've got no vitamins to speak of, you've got no minerals to speak of, you've got no protein, you've got no carbohydrates. This is 100% fat. So don't fall for it. Instead, if you want to get any kind of benefit, eat some olives, right? Have some olives on your pizza, on your salad, on your open-faced sandwich. We want you to eat your corn instead of using corn oil. We want you to have a small handful of walnuts instead of doing walnut oil. We want you to have a tablespoon or 2 of ground flaxseed meal with your breakfast cereal or on top of your salad to get your omega-3 fatty acids instead of using flaxseed oil. All right. The true nutrition is going to be found more in the whole plant-based product as opposed to the extracted processed oils. So I want to take a look under macro and micronutrients. If you guys don't know what the difference is, I'm going to explain it to you right now. So macronutrients are the 3 big the 3 big nutrients that are in basically every food. We're talking about protein, carbohydrates, and fats. They also have calories. Your average gram of protein is 4 calories. Your average gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. And your average gram of fat is 9.5. I rounded up to 10. So 10 calories. Now, when you're eating whole plant-based foods, I want you to know right now, you are getting the Goldilocks form of protein, right? Let's just like wham, bam, fantastic. And it's got all the essential amino acids and the perfect combination and proportion. You're going to be hitting a home run, as opposed to animal-based proteins that are inflammatory in nature, that are going to raise your cholesterol levels, that are going to promote tumor and cancer proliferation, that are going to siphon calcium from your bones and contribute to osteoporosis and do a real number on your kidneys and your liver. When it comes to carbohydrates, carbohydrates have really gotten a bad rap by paleo, keto, all these people. And the reality is we have 37 trillion cells, and our cells, our fuel for our cells, are sugar. It's basically carbohydrates, glycogen. And the problem is 90% of Americans' carbohydrate consumption comes from processed and refined carbs. The white sugars, the white flours, the white pastas, all the soda pops, the candy bars, the bagels, things of this nature, right? But when you're eating fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, you are doing a bang-up job getting unprocessed whole complex carbohydrates, which your body adores. So whole plant-based foods, you're going to be hitting a home run with carbohydrates. And then when it comes to fats, you're going to be getting all of the, excuse me, all the essential polyunsaturated fatty acids that you need, the omega-3s and the omega-6s, as opposed to the other fats that you don't need, the saturated fats, the, the trans fats, and not so many monounsaturated fats. And most Americans, they are deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. And these are the essential fatty acids that your body cannot make on its own. You have to get them from food. So when you're eating fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, you're going to be getting all the fat that you need, and it's going to be mostly the polyunsaturated essential fatty acids. That's a good thing. When it comes to vitamins, the beautiful thing about whole plant-based foods is that, believe it or not, there's only 13 vitamins that we need to get as human beings. And of those 13, 11 of them originate from whole plant-based foods, right? Wow. How about that? The two that don't are vitamin B12, that basically comes from the soil. It's made from microorganisms in the soil. And the other is vitamin D, that's the sunshine vitamin. So when it comes to vitamins, we're eating whole plant-based foods, you're going to be hitting a home run. When it comes to minerals, there's 17 major and minor minerals. And where do plants grow? They grow in the soil. And what is also in the soil? Minerals. And so those plants, they're best friends with all those minerals, the iron, the potassium, the calcium, the magnesium, and all these minerals go up into the plants, up into the roots, up into the shoots, up into the greens. And now we get to eat them. And this is the smartest way of getting your vitamins and your minerals and having a source that is nice and retainable. So minerals, antioxidants, antioxidants, there's a lot of antioxidants that are out there, and it helps to mitigate oxidative stress, promote DNA damage, premature aging, fighting off cancers. And believe it or not, plants have on average 64 times more antioxidants than animal-based products, which is really not a surprise at all to me. And then phytonutrients, it's a big fancy word for plant nutrients. You look at all the colors, all those incredible colors that are in tomatoes and a cantaloupe and Swiss chard and strawberries and blueberries and eggplants. And all those different colors are just examples of all those different phytonutrients. There's somewhere between 15 to 20,000 known phytonutrients that only exist in plants. And it's just kind of like another level of antioxidants that are there to help mitigate oxidative stress, prevent DNA damage, and keeping you from aging prematurely. So huge fans. And then lastly is fiber. We are just now learning all the benefits of fiber, the soluble and insoluble fibers that are present in all whole plant-based foods, and what this can do as far as satiating you, filling you up before you've had time to take in too many calories, what fiber can do as far as allowing you to have poops that are as regular as a Swiss commuter train, and you're going 2 or 3 times a day, and you are relaxed and it's easy. Fiber, so it cleans you out, it helps draw out toxins, and now we've just learned all about what it can do for your incredible microbiome, your gut health. Wonderful books like Dr. Will Bolshewitz's book, Fiber Fueled, and Robin Schutkan's book. So fiber, absolutely crucial. And fiber is only found in whole plant-based foods. Now, just to add a little bit of fuel to that fire, this is a pie chart of the standard American diet. And you can see here that 53% of what Americans consume is processed, which means that all the fiber has been stripped away, whether it's in the rice or the breads, or the frozen foods. It's processed. 35% is coming from animal products. And of course, animal products, as we all know, have zero fiber in them. So almost 88% of what Americans consume has zero fiber. And then 12% is coming from plants. And believe it or not, half that 12% is coming from French fried potatoes that we talked about earlier. So only 6% is coming from fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans, which is why most Americans, 97% of Americans are deficient in fiber. 97%. And it's why most Americans are constipated. The number one source of gastrointestinal distress is constipation. We now, as a country, spend over $1 billion annually on laxatives. We're just eating the wrong foods. I want you to know that for this book, The Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Diet, I did a pilot study, not only in North Ridgeville, Cleveland, Ohio, but also in Mesquite, Texas. And I asked people on a pre-questionnaire, what's the number one way that you get fiber into your diet on a daily basis? And the first two answers, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, the first one was Metamucil, and the second one was gummy bear fiber chews. And I had one participant, because I made everybody keep a food log of everything they put in their mouth from day one. And he said after day two, he said, I have had more fruits and vegetables in 2 days than I have had in the last 2 months. No joke. So fiber, we absolutely love it. And you can see here how much fiber is in a cup of cooked beans. You can see nuts and seeds are also a great source of fiber. Fruit has got fiber in it. Vegetables, cooked whole grains. You can see the recommended daily allowance for men is 38, for women is 25. Most Americans are lucky if they're getting 15 grams. And I can tell you, a plant strong guy like myself is getting right around somewhere between 75 to probably 90 grams of fiber a day. I challenge you guys to get in half that amount. And then you can see here on the far right side, meat, fish, dairy, and eggs, zero fiber. All right, here's another little video from Gladys.
Hey, I'm here in Portland with Gladys. Gladys has been following the program for about 10 months.
Yep, since July 29th, 2017.
Yes, you're okay. You're very specific.
Yes, I am. It was like the day that changed my life forever.
And what's happened to you?
Well, I went in all or nothing, basically. So cold turkey.
Cold cow.
Cold cow, yes. And I've lost 50 pounds as of today, which is today's February 28th. So however many months that is. My feet don't swell at night. My ankles would be so swollen, and now they're not.
Yeah.
And that happened within the first few weeks, actually.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. I sleep better. I don't snore as much. My husband likes that.
Yeah.
I've learned to cook all new things. It's amazing. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
They say, what are you going to eat? What am I not going to eat?
Yeah.
A cow, something with the face, no, but everything else, yeah, why not? No processed stuff, whole food, plant-based, baby all day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, no processed stuff, whole food, plant-based. I love the way she was chewing that blue gum the whole time too. But just adorable. So let's move on to pillar number 3. We're knocking them down here. Why we don't want to drink our food. So let's dive in. Well, let me just say that way too many Americans are drinking their calories and not eating their calories. And this is a problem for a number of reasons. So first of all, when you drink your calories, whether it's a smoothie, whether it's a juice, whether it's a protein shake, all these things, your brain and your stomach don't register these calories as calories, and you will invariably consume the same amount of solid food on top of these liquid calories. By and large, most of us will. So I'm going to make the argument for why we want to chew and masticate almost all of our food as opposed to drinking 25 to 50% of our calories on a daily basis. Okay. Now you may be asking, well, what in the world am I going to drink? We're going to drink good old H2O, good old water, like the other 20,000 mammals on the planet, right? So for 7 days, you're going to drink water, and you're not going to believe the impact that just drinking water will have when you're not consuming all these other liquid calories. So let me make my point. So let's compare a medium-sized orange to an 8-ounce glass of orange juice. So if you were to eat this orange, you would get 45 calories that contain 2.5 grams of fiber that are going to basically act like a log on the fiber and allow the 9 grams of sugar to be basically digested over a slow period of time. And that's good. That's a fantastic thing. Now, if you're to drink an 8-ounce glass of orange juice, you get 134 calories. That's almost 3 times the number of calories. You would only get you should only get 0.5 gram of fiber. So almost 4 times less fiber, and you get 23 grams of sugar. Can you see the difference here? This glass of orange juice on the right is going to hurt you. All right. The orange on the left is absolutely fantastic. And this is how we were meant to eat our oranges. Okay. Not drink our oranges. You look at your average store and look at all the different calorie rich drinks that are staring you in the face, calling your name. It is bountiful. Let's just go through an average day of beverages and what it looks like for the average person. So you start off your morning with a little bit of coffee, and to that you add sugar and creamer. That's probably about 100 calories in sugar and cream that you add. You have that glass of orange juice or apple juice or V8, whatever it is. Let's just call that about 120 calories. And then at some point in the morning, you stop by that Starbucks or that coffee shop and you get a soy mocha frappuccino. That's a good 350 calories. Let's say you have some sort of a liquid beverage, a pop or a soda. That's about 120 calories. You have a green smoothie or a green juice. That's another 100, 120 calories. You decide at some point after your gym workout, you need a little bit of plant protein to make up for what you just did, hitting the weights. That's another 100 calories. Some of us think that we need coconut water. It's just sugar water. It's 50 calories per 8 ounces. And then, of course, a glass of wine to unwind at night. That's 120 calories. But you can see here how it quickly adds up, and it adds up in a hurry. And this is why I will say, on average, most Americans are consuming between 500 to 1,200 liquid calories a day. And according to the RDA, the average person should be consuming 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. So that's 25 to, in some cases, 50% of your calories that you're potentially drinking. All right. So again, let's just drink water. That's it. Pillar number 3 is super simple. All right, here's another testimonial.
Here with Kathy in Sarasota. Kathy's been following the NGT program for about 2 years, right?
January 15th last year.
Oh my gosh, January, so it's been about 1 year, almost exactly, not quite. And Kathy has actually crushed it with a capital C. Can you tell us what's happened?
I started January 15th,
Yep.
2018, and I just am basically 100% compliant. I follow the Engine 2 program to a T, and I also do a half-hour cardio program.
Yep.
And I walk now 15,000 steps a day.
Wow.
So I just joined a challenge where I'm walking 2019 steps in
Yep.
2019. And this is my picture from a year ago. And I've lost 86 pounds.
Wow, we were just not ready to see that amazing figure, man. That is incredible. So are you a member, and are you a member of the Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Group on Facebook?
I'm the member of that one and the regular Engine 2
Got it, got it.
Facebook page.
Kathy,
So,
Kathy, thank you. Way to be.
thank you.
Yeah, so there's Kathy. Like I said, she crushed it. Love hearing stories of people that have rescued their health through the power of whole plant-based foods. Let's move on to pillar number 4, which is why we care about calorie density. And this is a, excuse me. This is a mammoth concept. And if you can get your head around this concept, it's a complete game changer. And most of us think that the only way to lose weight is to starve ourselves and to exercise more. And I want you to know that what I want to do here is change your mindset so that you understand that it's not, if you can understand that it's not how much you eat, it's what you eat. And then that will make how much you eat essentially irrelevant. And that is fantastic for people to hear. This is the most liberating discovery that most people find. So let me dive in. This is called calorie density, and we assign each food basically a number based upon how many calories of that food you would have to eat. Or I'm sorry, how many calories are in a pound of that food. So you can see your average vegetable is about 100 calories per pound. Your average fruit is about 250 calories per pound. Potatoes, 350 calories per pound. Whole intact grains like rice, farro, millet, amaranth, barley, 500 calories per pound. Legumes, so these is black beans, red kidney beans, pinto beans, lentils, they're right around 600 calories per pound. And then we get up into animal products, beef, chicken, fish, they're about 1,200 calories per pound. Cheese, ice cream, refined carbohydrates, white flour, 1,500 calories per pound. And then you have your junk food, your chips, your cookies, your pretzels that are about 2,300. And then nuts, seeds, and butter are about 2,800. And then all oils are 4,000. So you can see between vegetables at 100 and oil at 4,000, there's a 40-fold difference in the number of calories that are in a pound of that food. And if you can draw a line right between legumes and animal products, if you can stay to the foods that are above legumes, you're going to hit a home run. And it will be almost impossible for you to lose weight. And what's going to happen is you are going to find this state of homeostasis that occurs, and you will find your ideal weight. And it is just so absolutely exciting. So let's talk about this. So you can see here, this is a chart that was assigned by a gentleman named Dr. Terry Shintahi. he wrote a book called The Hawaiian Diet, and he assigned every food a eat more index based upon how much of that food you would have to eat to get to 2,500 calories. And so you can see on the left, and I've called these weak foods because you just eat a little bit and you're at almost 2,500 calories. On the far left there, you can see oil. If you have just a little over half a pound of oil, you're at 2,500 calories. And then if you move to French fries, you have 1.7 pounds of French fries and you're at 2,500 calories. And you can see also, these are not healthy foods. Oil, butter, bacon, peanut butter, beef, donut, sugar, ham sandwich, French fries. Whereas on the right, you look at these strong foods, everything from corn to Chinese cabbage, and now you have to eat bountiful amounts, like literally pounds and pounds and pounds to get to 2,500 calories of each one of these. So you can see potatoes. You have to essentially eat 10 pounds of potatoes to get to 2,500 calories, or broccoli, 17 pounds, or tomatoes, 27 pounds. And this is the name of the game, because when you're eating these strong foods, you're eating foods that are calorie light, nutrient dense, and they're loaded with water and fiber. And that is the magic combination, water and fiber, and it actually satiates you before you've had time to take in too many calories. Now, I want you to know, I went to Whole Foods and I spent half a day there taking watermelon, corn, broccoli, strawberries, and following this exercise that Dr. Terry Shintahi had done, so you could visually see exactly what it is that I am talking about here. And I'm trying to move this one thing on my screen. All right, I'm going to keep going. So watermelon. You'd have to eat 21 pounds of watermelon to get to 2,500 calories. So I tell people, you know what, for dessert, have a watermelon. And those aren't little personal size watermelons. Those are full-blown watermelons. You can see here, nuts are incredibly calorie dense. They're almost a little shy of 3,000 calories a pound, whether it's walnuts, cashews, almonds. 0.9 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. Now, on the Engine 2 7-day rescue program, the only nut that we recommend during the 7 days are walnuts, and that's because they have such a friendly omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, and they're very anti-inflammatory in nature. I'll expand upon that here right now. So most Americans are getting way too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s. So somewhere in the ratio of 1 omega-3 to 20 to 30 to 40 omega-6s. And because omega-6s are very, very prevalent in processed refined foods, oils that are in everything. And historically, we're meant to have a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, or 1-to-3 ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s. But that has gotten way off kilter. Again, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 20 to 30 to 40 omega-3s to omega-6s. And this is pro-inflammatory. Almonds, for example, have an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio of 1 omega-3 to 2,500 omega-6s. Right? Cashews are about 1 to 500. Walnuts, 1 omega-3 to 3 omega-6s. So again, for people that are trying to rescue their health, lose copious amounts of weight, reverse their heart disease, take care of their prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, all these things, we recommend the walnut, and you want to limit it to 1 small handful of walnuts a day. And 1 small handful is right around 180 calories. And again, 80% of those calories are coming from fat. So you don't need to worry about getting enough fat. There's fat in everything, as I'm going to talk about here in a second. Next, cauliflower. Look at that. 20 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. So make that the blackened cauliflower. Have cauliflower steaks. Have a cauliflower mashed potato that you put nutritional yeast on. It's incredible. Cauliflower, in many ways, is kind of like tofu. It's a blank canvas that will take on whatever kind of flavors, herbs, and spices you apply to it. This is butter. Butter, 0.8 of a pound will give you 2,500 calories. And I can't tell you, back when I was a firefighter, how many firefighters, they would make a wonderful baked potato in the oven. They'd put it on their plate. They cut it in half, and they would put half a stick of butter in between that potato. And then they put on the sour cream, the bacon bits, and the cheese shreds. Incredible. So it's not, I want you to know, it's not the potato that is fattening. It's what we're putting on our potatoes. It's what we're putting in between and on our bread. So speaking of the potato, look at that, right? Almost 10 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. Knock yourself out with the potato. Do all kinds of creative things with them. I have potatoes absolutely each and every day. There's so many incredible varieties, from your Yukon Golds, your little new potatoes, your sweet potatoes, your Okinawan potatoes, your purple sweet potatoes, your white sweet potatoes. Fabulous. Cheddar cheese. Now, I'm being blocked there, but I'm going to assume it's about 1.4 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. And again, we talked about cheese earlier in this talk. Cheese is just a concentrated source of calories, of sodium, of fat, of casein, and of casomorphines. Run from cheese. Don't walk, run. It is dairy crack. Tomatoes, look at that. 17 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. Like, have open-faced heirloom tomato sandwiches. Have tomato salads. Make a tomato soup. Just eat a tomato like it's an apple. They absolutely rock. And then strawberries, you can see about 15 pounds is equal to 2,500 calories. So have 1 pound of these Driscoll wonderful, tasty strawberries for dessert. Right? Going to be wonderful. Oil, you can see 0.6 of a pound is 2,500 calories. You know, it seems that there's a lot of noise and confusion right now, and people somehow or other think that coconut oil is a health food. Coconut oil is 92% saturated fat, more saturated fat than any food on the planet. I highly recommend, like cheese, that you run. You don't walk away from coconut oil. It's not good. Not good in any way, shape, or form. And then we'll end with broccoli. 17 pounds of broccoli is 2,500 calories. We have broccoli probably 3 or 4 times a week. We love to do blackened broccoli in skillets. We love to do a blackened baked broccoli in the oven. We love to steam broccoli. We love to put it into casseroles on top of pizzas, throw it into soups, slice it up fine and put it into the pasta water. So when we bring out the pasta, we're now eating and put on our marinara. We're eating pasta that's got perfectly cooked broccoli in it. And broccoli is so exciting with all the vitamins, the minerals, the sulforaphane that is in there. Love broccoli. So there you have it. Just to really drive this point home, because it's so instrumental. Oatmeal. You can have oatmeal with some fruit on top. That's about 350 calories a pound. Or you could have some sort of a dry cereal that is about 1,200 to 1,500 calories per pound. I'm not saying the dry cereal is bad, but if you're trying to lose weight, I highly recommend that you go with the oatmeal as opposed to the dry cereal. And what makes that oatmeal 350 calories per pound as opposed to 1,215? It's the water. You cook it in water. Water has 0 calories, and it brings down the calorie density. You could have kale that is 60 calories a pound, several pounds of it, or you could have these kale chips that are 2,000 calories a pound. And why are they 2,000? Because they are made with canola oil. All right. And that oil is 4,000 calories per pound. You could have sweet potatoes that are about 350 calories per pound, or you could have French fries that are sitting more like around 2,500 calories per pound. I highly recommend you go with the sweet potato or the normal potato. Brown rice sitting about 600 calories per pound, or these rice chips that are 2,200 calories per pound. Grapes that are sitting at about 250 calories per pound, or raisins that are about 1,500 calories per pound. And the only difference between the grapes on the left and the raisins on the right is the raisins have been dried and they're missing their water. So isn't that incredible what a little bit of water will do for the calorie density of that food or lack of it? And then lastly, we've got pasta. This spaghetti is about 500 calories per pound, and this bread is about 1,500 calories per pound. I tell people that are trying to lose anywhere between 30 to 200 pounds, either don't do bread, right? Instead, like take collard greens or kale and use those as wraps. But if you're going to do bread, do open face sandwiches, because that bread is, again, 1,500 calories per pound. The pasta, on the other hand, is 500 calories per pound. And can anybody tell me why that is? It's because you cook it in water, and that water brings down the calorie density, just as it does with the rice and just as it does with the oats. And in the sweet potatoes and the kale and the grapes, the water is still there. We haven't dried them out. Now, just to kind of highlight it, you can see here I have the water drip on the foods on the left, the oatmeal, the kale, and the sweet potato, and the rice, and the grapes, and the spaghetti. All right. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Calorie density. Let's keep the calorie density to 600 calories and less by eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans, and you will hit a home run when it comes to weight loss. All right, here's another testimonial.
Jeannie here. Jeannie has been doing 6.5 years. 6.5 years. And what's happened to you in 6.5 years' time? And I'm going to show everybody your amazing physique, okay?
Okay, in 6.5 years, I've lost 65 pounds. My blood pressure has gone down to 90/60. My cholesterol started at 260 and I'm down to 180. And
Medications?
no medications whatsoever.
Wow.
And I walk 3 miles a day.
Wow,
And
and
it's
it's a shining example of what can happen. And do you feel like you are depriving yourself in any way, shape, or form?
No, not depriving myself at all. I am never hungry.
So she's just a little ray of sunshine. And again, I can't tell you how wonderful it was to travel around the country for almost 10 years with Whole Foods, do these lectures, do these book signings, have people come up to me and say, Rip, I want you to know I have tried absolutely every diet on the program. I'm a professional dieter, and it is so fantastic to finally find something that will allow me to eat, not starve myself, and also lose weight and find my health, get my health back. It's great. So pillar number 5 is why we don't care about protein. I want you to know that most Americans are protein toxic. We're getting way too much protein. Most Americans are getting well over 15% of their calories from protein. And according to the Institute of Medicine and the World Health Organization, we need right around 10% of our calories coming from protein. And that is with a built-in safety measure of about 30%. So I want you to know, nobody listening to this needs to worry about protein deficiency, especially if you're consuming enough calories. If you're consuming enough calories, by default, you're getting all the protein that you need. And this will make sense here as we talk about this. So what exactly are proteins? Proteins are composed, they're chains of amino acids. There's 20 recognized amino acids. And of those 20, there's 9 essential amino acids that cannot be manufactured by our bodies. We have to actually consume them with food in order to attain them. And you can see here they are. You've got isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, threonine, valine, and histidine. And I want you to know whether it's a strawberry, whether it's a raspberry, a black bean, a sweet potato, a cantaloupe, each one of them has all 9 of these essential amino acids in the perfect proportion and composition. Again, as I said earlier, plant-based proteins are the Goldilocks of protein. This is where protein originates from plants. And if animals have protein, which they do, they either got it directly or indirectly from the plants. So this is just a chart that shows you the average percentages of protein in plant-based foods. So you can see white mushrooms are right around 56% protein, spinach, 55, tofu, firm tofu, sitting at about 48 or so. Collard greens, 38, kale, 35, broccoli, 33, right? Your average bean, kidney beans, pinto beans are in the 20s. Cooked quinoa, rolled oats are right around 18% protein. And then blackberries and red bell peppers at the lower end are sitting at about 12%. I just want you to know you can't blow it. Again, you only need about 10%. You're going to be hitting a home run. Now, here's an interesting fact. You know, there's 3 macronutrients, as we talked about: protein, carbohydrates, and fat. The one macronutrient that we as human beings cannot store is protein. So if you're eating much more than you need, let's say you're eating, 15, 16%, guess what you're doing with all that excessive protein? You're either peeing it away or you're storing it as fat, but you can't store it as protein. So it does you no benefit whatsoever. And there's a medical terminology or a medical term for protein deficiency, and it's called kwashiorkor. And most Americans have never heard of kwashiorkor because it's not a thing. And I want you to know, as a firefighter, probably 90% of our calls were medical emergencies. And over the course of the year, we would probably make 8,000 911 emergency calls. And so let's just say of 90% of those that were medical calls, guess how many that we made to somebody that was suffering from protein deficiency? Not one. But guess how many that we made from people that were suffering from having a full-blown heart attack? They were breathless and pulseless. Lots. People that had chest pain, people that had difficulty breathing, people that were diabetic, right? And their blood sugar levels had gotten too low. Calls that we made for people that we had to do a lifting assistance call because they weighed somewhere between 350 and 700 pounds. Lots of people. People that had stroked out, that had a stroke. People that didn't know where they were because of dementia and Alzheimer's. Lots of them. So I think you get the point I'm trying to make here. But protein ain't no thing. You're going to be getting all you need from your whole plants. If you haven't seen the Game Changers, I highly recommend it. It came out in 2019. I was fortunate enough to be one of the executive producers of it, along with James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan. You can see these names here: Novak Djokovic, and it's now got over 200 million views. It's the most watched documentary of all times. And really, James Wilkes did such a phenomenal job obliterating this whole myth that real men and real women eat meat, and that you need meat and you need dairy for protein, because you don't, right? Instead, you just go straight, you cut out the middle chicken, the middle pig, the middle cow, the middle turkey to get your protein, and you go straight to the mother source. You go to your black beans, your quinoa, your rolled oats, you go to your cherries. That's where you want to get your protein from. And you're also getting your carbohydrates, your essential fatty acids, your vitamins, your minerals, your water, your phytonutrients, and your fiber. Woohoo! This is Nehemiah Delgado. He was also in the Game Changers. He is a lifelong, never had meat a day of his life. He's been vegan for over 14 years, and he was the first vegan to make the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. And you can see here, he is not suffering from protein deficiency. Another gentleman that is plant-based is Alex Honnold. If you haven't seen the documentary Free Solo, Alex is one of the most amazing mountain climbers ever. He actually free soloed without any ropes or harnesses or anything, El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. It's over almost a quarter of a mile straight up. And I believe this is him doing the ascent. And he did it in 3 hours and 59 minutes. National Geographic declared this the greatest human feat of all time. And guess what he had for breakfast? He had steel cut oats with blueberries, some chia seeds, and some almond milk. That's what fueled him to this incredible performance. This is just, I want you guys to understand that by eating whole food plant-based, you're getting all the protein you need, and actually more than you need. So a guy like myself, I weigh about 180 pounds. I only need about 70 grams of protein a day. I just put this together. You can see my cereal with just my cereal, and I eat a lot, but my cereal gives me 14 grams. The unsweetened Eden soy milk that I have is 12 grams. A banana is 2 grams. A half a cup of berries is 2 grams. An ounce of walnuts is 4 grams. Tablespoon of chia seeds is 2.5. Tablespoon of hemp seeds is 3.5, and a kiwi is 1. So that's just 41 grams that I get just in my breakfast bowl. And I call it the Rip's Big Bowl because it's rather large. I do work out a lot, and I probably get between 32 to 4,000 calories a day. But then you can see for lunch there, I've got a bunch of spinach, 3 grams, a cup of quinoa, 6 grams. I had a Firehouse chili that was 19 grams. So that's 28 grams. And then for dinner, I had pizza, 4 slices. Each slice is 4 grams. So that was 16 grams in my crust. And then the pasta sauce is 4 grams. Veggies and beans were I averaged that out to 8 grams. And then I did some tempeh slices on top. That's 20 grams. So that's 48 grams for dinner, 117 grams for the day. Much more than I needed, but I just wanted you to see that. All right, another little testimonial here.
Paul, Houston, you have got your career back. What career were you in jeopardy of losing?
Flight career, commercial pilot.
And so what was going on with it?
Developed chest pain while I was in Shanghai. Came back, realized I had heart disease. Took a stress test. As soon as I failed that, I lost my FAA medical. So went plant perfect with your dad's guidance through doing the whole food plant-based, no oil, low sodium. And 6 months ago, I passed my stress test after reversing heart disease, which is verified through my angiogram. So I had a follow-up angiogram. So I went from like over 50% blockage in my one artery, LAD, down to barely measurable at all. So the plaque actually dissolved.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how much weight have you lost as well?
I lost 35 pounds, but I did it over 3 months and never took the pound back at all, the weight back.
Yeah. Has it been difficult for you?
The first week was tough, but what I did is follow the recipes, and when I started making like different recipes, I realized I could start doing this long term.
Your wife is on board and
She did 2 weeks later. She started seeing what I was eating, and she's like, "I want that," instead of what she was having, which was from a restaurant somewhere.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so it's
There
pretty
you go.
great.
It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Real men eat plants. Love hearing that. Big kudos to Paul and what he was able to do. Pillar number 6, why we want to go easy on salt, sugar, and fat. I'm telling you right now, Americans are eating salt, sugar, and fat like it's our full-time job. And we got to learn to become label reading ninja warriors so that these food companies don't pull the wool over our eyes and hoodwink us. So this book was written by Dr. David Kessler. He's the former head of the Food and Drug Administration. It's called The End of Overeating. And essentially what he talks about is how these big food conglomerates, their goal is to get you hooked on their products. And they do it by adding copious amounts of salt, sugar, and fat to every product. And he says they will put salt on top of sugar, on top of fat, on top of salt, on top of sugar, on top of fat. And it is no joke. When you learn to read a label and you see, oh my God, this yogurt has 5 different types of sugar in it. This cereal has 8 different types of sugar in it. This pasta sauce has 3 different oils in it and is 65% fat. This soup is 1 serving, and a little can is 2 servings. 1 serving is 900 milligrams of sodium. I've just consumed 1,800 milligrams of sodium, which is basically over my daily, the recommended RDA for me for sodium. So let's talk about some of this right now. So salt. Most Americans are getting 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams of sodium a day. According to the Institute of Medicine, most of us should be consuming right around 1,500 milligrams. And I want you to know that there's salt in everything that we eat. There's salt in spinach. There's salt in potatoes. There's salt, sodium in fruit. And if you were to just eat whole plant-based foods all day long, you'd probably get 500 to 600 milligrams of sodium into your body. So when we're eating packaged, boxed, and canned foods, we got to be really careful, and we want to look and see how many milligrams of sodium are in that soup. And a nice guideline, it's a guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule, but a nice guideline I tell people to follow is, and I learned this from an amazing nutritionist named Jeff Novick, check the number of calories per serving, and then immediately go to the number of milligrams. And if the milligrams, ideally, you want them to be at or less than the number of calories. So for example, if you have a can of soup and it says 600 calories, I'm sorry, that's too many. 300 calories per serving, go to the milligrams. You want it to be 300 or less. All right, just a quick example. Now, you can see here on the bottom of the screen, the global burden of disease study that involved over 300 institutions in 50 countries concluded that elevated blood pressure is the #1 world factor for death, resulting in fatal heart attacks, strokes, and other organ failures. So how is it that we are consuming so much sodium? Well, if you go out to eat, and most of us go out to eat, you are basically, all bets are off. You go to Red Lobster and you get the Admiral Feast, that's 5,000 milligrams that you're going to find in that meal. You go to the Cheesecake Factory and get their breakfast burrito, that's 3,640 milligrams of sodium. People are back in the theaters, right? After COVID, you go to the AMC's theater and you get the Bavarian Legend, soft pretzel, that's 7,600 milligrams of sodium. Amy's low-fat veggie chunky soup, 1,440 milligrams in that can. That's 2 servings. You get the organic vegetable broth at Whole Foods, and it's got 500 milligrams per cup. And of course, bread. So many people, I think the number one source of sodium in America is coming from bread because it's hiding in there. But Pepperidge Farm, hearty white bread, 460 milligrams per slice. So take this to heart, guys. All right. Be mindful of your sodium. Sugar. The average American is consuming over 30 added teaspoons of sugar a day. That's 160 pounds a year. On the 7-day rescue program, we want you to be consuming less than 2 added teaspoons a day. Okay. So let me give you some examples here. Sugar in packaged foods. If you have a Yoplait fat-free Harvest Peach yogurt, 26 grams of added sugar are in that Yoplait yogurt. Now, to put that into perspective for you all, one teaspoon has 4 grams of sugar in it. So you divide 26 by 4 and you get 6.5. So there's 6.5 teaspoons of sugar that are in that Yoplait yogurt. The Choi teriyaki sauce and marinade, there's 8 grams in a tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon is basically 2 teaspoons of added sugar. Jam, right? 12 grams per tablespoon, divide that by 4, and you get the number of teaspoons of added sugar that are in there. It's 3. This Ken's fat-free vinaigrette dressing, I can't see the number because it's being blocked, but as you can see, there's a lot. It's in pasta sauces. This pasta sauce here, there's 11 grams in half a cup. That's almost, let's see, that's almost 4 times, that's almost 3 teaspoons of sugar. Oatmeal. If you're not making oatmeal on your own, you're doing these kind of Quaker oatmeal expresses that are highly processed and flavored. That's got 17 grams in that little carton there. That's over 4 added teaspoons of sugar. And then if you're drinking some of, obviously Coca-Cola or Sprite, or even one of these Arizona green teas, you're getting close to 8, 9, 10 added teaspoons of sugar there. All right, let's move on from sugar. The other thing when it comes to reading labels, though, with sugar that I want to say is by law now, these food manufacturers, they have to list how much added sugar is in their products. So go and look at sugars, and it'll say naturally occurring and then added sugars. And that's a really great way for you to tell how much are added as opposed to naturally occurring. And this is just within the last year that they've made this change. Oh, let me go back there. Fat. Most Americans are consuming 35 to 50% of their calories from fat, and it's coming from the wrong kind of fats, as we talked about earlier. It's coming from the trans fats and the saturated fats and the monounsaturated fats, as opposed to the healthy, essential polyunsaturated fats that we need, that we can't manufacture on our own. On the 7-day rescue program, we want your fat intake to be closer to 10 to 15% of your total calories on a given day. You can see here, every one of you is going to be getting all the fat you need. Your average vegetable is sitting at right around 10 to 14% fat. Who knew that broccoli is 10% fat, that kale is 12% fat? Obviously, sweet potatoes are sitting there at about 3% fat. When it comes to fruit, avocados, over 80% fat. This is why in the 7-day rescue program, we recommend you limit the avocados to half an avocado a day. Again, depending upon your goals, how much weight you're wanting to lose, and what's going on with heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and all those things. You can see mangoes, blueberries, bananas, they all are about 5% of their calories coming from fat. Cooked oats. Who knew that oats were 18% fat? If you remember, they're also 18% protein. Love that about oats. Quinoa is about 16% fat. And then you can see beans are about 5% fat. And you can see there nuts and seeds are all sitting around 70 to 90% fat, which is why we want to limit the amount of walnuts to a small handful. And when it comes to flaxseed meal, ground flaxseed meal, we want to do 2 added teaspoons a day for our omega-3 fatty acids. So with fat, you're going to be hitting a home run when you're eating whole plant-based foods, 10 to 15%, and you're getting the perfect amount of the right fats. This is a little note that somebody sent me that did the program. They said, I had a very difficult time with cravings the first few days of the rescue week. I craved salt and cheese a lot. I felt very hungry before meals. However, as the week went on, I stopped craving salt and cheese and meat. They started to seem kind of gross to me. And I started to crave things like apples and Ezekiel 4:9 bread instead of pizza and candy. And I want you to know that, one of our goals on the 7-day rescue program is to consume 4 to 6 servings of green leafy vegetables a day. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but what happens is most people at the end of the 7 days, they love kale and arugula and Swiss chard and collard greens and beet greens. They love these green leafies because your palate adapts and adjusts and you start craving these. And you feel so good when you're eating them.
2 years, I lost 60 pounds. I started with the 7-day rescue. And then basically from there went pretty much totally whole food plant-based. Try to eat that way. Just the books are great. I have the cookbook. And then I also follow other plant-based doctors to get other recipes.
Nice.
It's also good to follow the Facebook groups, get the recipes and the support of the Facebook groups.
Has this been hard for you or easy?
No, it really, at first it's a little unusual, but then once you get used to it, it's like you just can't even conceive of eating meat and bacon and eggs. When you read the science, like the China study and your dad's books,
Yeah.
your books, and you just, when you realize the science behind it all, it just makes it all worthwhile.
So you're all in.
All in. And I'm trying to get my girls all in.
Let's get them.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
I love the way Kathy says, how was it at first? She said, well, it wasn't hard. It was unusual. Unusual. What a word. Okay, so we're moving on. We're almost there. So pillar number 7 is why we want to move. Robust physical movement, it is deeply encoded in our DNA as human beings. And I know you guys have heard this, I'm going to repeat it. Sitting has become the new smoking. We need to get off of our butts. And I heard a study. It came recently from the Kaiser Permanente Foundation, and it was looking at adolescents. And it showed that the average adolescent these days now has 7.5 hours of screen time, and they move 7.5 minutes. That to me is one of the saddest statistics that I know of. And we got to get off the screens. We got to get off our duffs, and we got to move our bodies. You can see here on the bottom, lack of physical activity has now reached number 4 on the global causes of death right after high blood pressure, smoking, and high blood pressure. This is my father, Essie. He is 90 now, and he gets out for a bike ride just about every day. Here he is.
One of the things you love so much about exercise.
It makes you calm and easy of approach.
And then here's my mother, Ann, who is going to be 89 this year, and she does something every day. Listen to her.
And you're going for running fields. Why do you love exercise?
It's important. I mean, if you don't exercise, you just shrivel up. You can't move. And I can move.
Yes, you can. Go get them.
Okay.
So one of the things that Ann loves to do is she loves to drag a tire. So here's a quick video of Ann dragging a tire this past winter. Yeah. So I just want to share this. This is a study that came out of the Cleveland Clinic. And it was with 122,000 participants from 1991 to 2014. And it showed that being unfit on a treadmill or in an exercise stress test was a worse prognosis as far as death than being hypertensive, diabetic, or being a current smoker. We've never seen anything as pronounced as this and as objective as this. So we got to get off our duffs. It is so great for so many different reasons. It is one of the best mood enhancers out there. You get those happy endorphins pumping throughout our bodies. It is the best antidepressant on the planet. It improves your brain. We want to get blood flow going to our brain, specifically the hippocampus, to help prevent dementia, Alzheimer's. And you can see here on the bottom, exercise is the single best thing that you can do for your brain in terms of mood, memory, and learning. Even just 10 minutes, according to Dr. John Rayleigh, a prominent psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School. It boosts your immune system. According to the British Journal of Sports Medicine, just 6 minutes of movement increases the level of infection-fighting immune cells circulating in our bodies by 50%. I want you to know, I exercise 45 minutes to 2 hours just about every day. And the last time that I was sick was with COVID in 2021. And before that, I can't even remember. So eating this way and exercising is a double whammy against getting sick. It increases your appetite. If any of you are having difficulties like really enjoying this food, get out and exercise. It will boost your appetite. And then all of a sudden you come home and that bowl of steel cut oats with blueberries and mangoes and bananas and a little bit of chia seeds will absolutely steal the eye right out of your head. You'll love it. It's fantastic for bone health. We're obviously suffering right now from osteoporosis, and it's because we're all sitting. Your bones, consider them like a different kind of muscle. And we all know what happens when you don't exercise your muscles, you basically atrophy. Well, the same thing happens with your bones. They turn to styrofoam. So we want to do ideally some sort of weight-bearing exercise to basically build those osteoblasts and build back that bone, right? That bone density. And my father recommends for his patients, get a vest, like a 25, 30-pound vest off of Amazon, and then wear it around the house, right? Something that you can do. Another thing is that it enhances your energy. Just when you think like, oh my God, I'm absolutely gassed. I don't want to get up and go for that swim or that walk or that run or that bike ride. Every time I do, I never regret it. It's like this mini rebirth of sorts. And I am so fired up for the rest of the day. And then at the end of the day, I find if I can get out and do something, I am the best dad, the best husband, the best parent, the best human that I can be. So it enhances your energy. It's easier to get out of bed. This is according to a study involving 2,500 men and women. Just 50 minutes of exercise a week can provide a 65% boost in sleep quality. And this, of course, is providing that you're not sitting with your computer on your lap in your bed until 12 o'clock watching some sort of a series on Netflix. All right. We want to make sure we're turning that light out and getting a good quality 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Prevents muscle loss. So there's something called sarcopenia. It's the wasting away of muscles that sets in for anybody over the age of about 30. And so we got to maintain that muscle mass. It helps prevent slips and falls. It also will increase your resting metabolic rate at which you burn calories. So there's just a multitude of reasons why we don't want to lose our muscle mass. I want you to see how it can prevent preserve muscle mass. On the far left, you have a 40-year-old triathlete, and you can see the kind of the shaded area is muscle. And then in the middle there, you have a 74-year-old sedentary individual. You can see the white there, the adipose tissue is fat. And then you can see the kind of the shaded area is the muscle. This is kind of a cross section of the thigh, the quadricep muscle. And then on the far right, look at that. That's a 74-year-old triathlete that hasn't lost a step, hasn't lost a smidgen of muscle mass compared to that 40-year-old triathlete. So, you know the old adage, use it or lose it. I recommend that you all get out there and use it and just find something that you adore, that you love, whether it's gardening, whether it's walking, whether it's, pickleball. I am such a fan of pickleball these days. I've joined a group. I do a master swim program in the morning. You need accountability as well. So find some workout buddies for accountability and get after it, right? I know you can. One more testimonial and then we're going to be done.
Jane drove in from Palm Springs, right? And Jane, you've been doing this 15 months. What's happened there?
15 months time, my fibromyalgia is gone, my asthma is gone, my lifelong acid reflux is gone. Sciatic pain, knee pain, I've had injections, chronic sinus infections, 15 medications gone. I've got my life back. I don't have chronic pain anymore. I don't have insomnia anymore. I couldn't climb the stairs at work. I had to take the elevator. And now I can go up and down 10 times. And I try to do it 3 times a day at work. And I've lost 120 pounds.
What? What about your cholesterol?
My cholesterol's down about 80 points. I had a stroke when I was 35. And it's because of my lifestyle. It's because of the drive-through windows and not reading labels and eating anything that would hold still.
Is there any way you can show this that photo of you?
I'd be glad to show you my photo. Let me get this out.
This is Jane. Before she kind of found 7-day rescue.
Before I found 7-day rescue channel, this is my photo. So that's my before.
Mind if I just let
No,
everyone see your
I don't
amazing
think-
figure?
yeah.
Wow, Jane, way to go.
Thank you.
Isn't that incredible? I am so proud of Jane. And actually, Jane made the cover of Women's World. I think it was maybe 4 years ago, but love what she was able to do. She did the 7 days and then she strung it together for about another, what was that? Probably 70 weeks of 7 days. And there you have it, right? It just became a habit. So, let's see there we go. So in summation, you can see here, these are the 7 pillars. Why we love plants, why we really love whole plants as close to grown as possible. Don't drink our food. Instead, let's drink good old H2O. Let's eat those foods that are calorie light, nutrient dense, filled with water, filled with fiber, and are going to satiate you and allow you to find your ideal weight. Don't worry for a second about protein. It's ample, it's there, it's inherent in all these wonderful whole plant-based foods. You're going to be hitting a home run. And let's make sure that these food manufacturers don't outfox us. Let's learn to read a label and look for how much sugar's in there, how much sodium's in there, and what's going on with the fat. And then lastly, let's move these amazing, fabulous bodies that we are all blessed with so that we are happy and eternally healthy. All right. The real truth about health. Those are the 7 pillars. And Steve, good to see you. I know we've got like 4 minutes for Q&A.
Right. So first of all, so Steve runs the Real Truth About Health conference. I'm actually Michael. I'm the moderator.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Rip. So, okay. So that concludes the presentation. Normally we do a Q&A session, but we're a little short on time.
I get it.
Yeah. So no, which was a great presentation. So thank you very much for that very informative presentation. So real quickly, I just want to kind of let the audience know that they are able to redeem a $10 gift voucher at the plantstrong.com website. It is, if they use the code RealTruth10, they'll be able to redeem that $10 gift voucher. for purchases made through the website. So, and we'll put the gift voucher. John, if we could put that into the chat so people can get the code from there, that would be great. Rip, if you could tell people how they can follow you, keep in touch with you, get your books. Your books are obviously available through our bookstore on the Real Truth, therealhealth.com website. But any other way to keep in touch with you, if you could share that.
Yeah. So, well, my Instagram channel is just at Rip Esselstyn. We also have at Go Plan Strong. Obviously, you mentioned we have the website PLANTSTRONG.com where you can go for any of our whole plant-based food products. You also can go to and I'm spacing. It's either myplantstrong.com or liveplantstrong.com that has our whole ecosystem of products from coaching to events to the podcast, everything that we have to help people live their best plant strong life.
All right. So again, normally we'd be asking questions right about now. I'm going to ask you one question, but I'm going to ask just to give me like a 1-minute answer because we basically have a minute. What is the most effective way? You went around to all these different people and you've taught them how to eat a certain way. What have you found is the best, most effective way to keep them eating that way long term?
Well,
in 1 minute or less.
That's a great question. It's kind of that's the magical question is how do you remain adherent to this lifestyle? And I'd say that the most important thing is make the healthy choice the easy choice, create an environment in your home that looks like your goals. So you don't want to have cookies and chips and cheese in your home. If you are, most of us will be drawn to it like a moth to flame. So don't have it around. Don't make this about willpower. Instead, we want this just to be like, okay, what do I got? Oh, orange slices, apple, kale salad, grapes. That is my biggest thing. If it's not in the house, it's not going to reach your mouth and you're going to hit a home run. And then I find you start to feel so fantastic that you don't want to pollute your body with what I call the contraband that is just so absolutely prevalent out there these days.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that. I find that to be true for myself too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So with that, I would like to thank you, Rip. If we could unmute the audience so they could say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Blessings.
Thank you.
Blessings, everyone.
That was marvelous.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you.